Their default microphone.
All right, we're doing it.
Hello again.
We're here again, hoping to be more consistent and regular this time. But we did come prepared with drinks. I've got some tea, some soda, so grab yourself a drink, get cozy with us. We decided that we would like to spend a little time talking about tarot cards and play around with them. We started this little routine of picking a tarot card a day.
Oh, well, let's start at the beginning, right?
Yes.
We were away this weekend. Not really even away, just somewhere.
A cute little trip.
Yeah, just to spend the night out, something different. And we found a shop called Creepella's in Burlington, New Jersey, where I found, or maybe more accurately, this deck
Found you.
found me.
Absolutely.
I'm not, I am so agnostic and so unsure of so many things that I've never been that comfortable doing more than like playing around with things. But this I felt like a connection to, and I try not to, fight those sorts of things. So I came home with this deck. And since then, we've started a routine that Anna Marie was going to tell you about.
Yeah, so I have had this deck, the Celtic Tarot cards, since I was 15 years old. It was my first deck, and I felt like I held on to this and did a lot with this for years and years and years and years and years. And then it wasn't until maybe like 3 to 4 years ago that I just felt that I needed a new deck. Like I had outgrown this. I needed a challenge. I needed something else to meet me where I was at. And as I had that thought, I somehow just came across a lot of different tarot cards. I got gifted some.
What do you have, three decks? Huh?
I think I have 4. I think I actually ended up being gifted 3 different decks. And they were like shortly thereafter one another. So it just seemed like I was calling all these decks to me. And they all have different values, right? Like some just, it's the art. There's so much.
Oh yeah, no. There's so much to all of it, but you haven't told them about the routine, right? That we've started. Each day we pick a card. It's partially for learning purposes and to become more familiar, like closer to the cards and the deck. So that on a daily basis we're pulling them out and we're shuffling them around and we're asking the deck to show us, show us the card that we need to learn from today, whether it's we need to learn that card and get closer to an understanding of what it maybe means in different situations, or whether it's for like a situation that we're currently in. It's sort of multifaceted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I like the educational aspect of it because I don't know much about the decks and the cards and what they mean. I have about as much exposure as you've given me over the years. I don't think I know anybody else that does tarot, or at least that's ever like discussed it with me in any detail.
Lately I've been doing this deck again for the purposes of learning the cards and pulling one out each day. I had started this practice before and just kind of like fell out of that routine. And so I thought, as I was drawn to this, what I always deem as like my high school deck, to like almost bring me back to some of the primitive joys that
some of the childhood wonder.
Yeah, like those early days of like being engrossed in this. This is the deck that I prefer. So I've been starting this, doing 1 tarot a day, reading it. Mine comes with stories about these archetypes and kind of thinking about how that fits into my life. And then I've been writing it as well. So like jotting it down so that I can remember. And maybe that will hold value for me later on. I don't know.
I think that might be pronounced archetypes.
Archetypes?
I don't know. I've heard it pronounced archetypes, I think.
This is what happens when you speak more than one language.
Oh, I know.
You can't
Also, language is, a living thing, so.
Right. We're changing it. If I was wrong, I'm now right. Because we changed it. Anyway, I have pulled some cards already because I was doing...
Today?
No, not for today. But we're not starting on day 1 with you, unfortunately. But you may encounter other decks of day 1. I have been removing the cards that I pulled and keeping them out of the deck for now. I don't know if that's going to change, but that's what I've been doing for now.
I think I may leave them just so that I can get... Because even the ones I've already pulled, I think I could benefit from seeing again, likely. And also, if I recognize that I've pulled this one already through this one-a-day pull system, I can choose to just pull another card for that reason and say, oh, show me a card I need to see that I have not yet seen. But also maybe factor for the fact that the one I picked first was the one I picked first. I did see that one. I need to use the restroom. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Back. I would have washed my hands before I handle my deck. I don't know that I've done that.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. So I'm not going to use the restroom and just leave you hanging. I'm going to stay. I am taking some of my cards out of the deck. I've been doing a more mental game of okay, show me what I need to see today. Or give me what I need for the day. So I've been doing it in a very relaxed, flowy state of just show me what I need for the day, for the next 24 hours until I pull another card. And I've gotten different things. I always felt like tarot was a way to relate to yourself and kind of be a reflective practice and really spend time growing some self-awareness. So I enjoy doing it, and I would really love to be at a spot where I could pull cards and just know what they stood for and just feel it. And I don't know if it's a matter of finding the right deck and sticking with that, or just continuing to do it and push myself. But I'm going to stick with this one for now. I feel like it was it's the OG. And I kind of want to stay with my OG right now. Welcome back.
Thank you. I apologize. Please excuse my absence.
We'll let it slide. Do you want to go one at a time, maybe?
Oh, yeah, of course. Let's...
Maybe that's, nicer?
Yeah.
You just washed your hands, so you can go first, because you are prepared.
No, I think you're more prepared than I am, because you have your deck out, and mine's not. I put mine back in the box, and I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I'm just going to take a little bit to, shuffle these and play around with them.
You gotta, I know. I gotta connect with mine as well, too, before I feel like I'm ready to do any kind of relevant pulling or...
Well, now I feel like I'm on
anything.
display because of... Oh, man, I gotta move this. We have so many cool people that, do these all over the place. Online, there's, a ton of people that are always doing tarot cards and constantly...
I don't know what just happened there.
What did I do?
See how we're getting, all washed out? When you're hitting the table, it's changing that light's angle, and then the camera's needing to readjust its, brightness levels and things, I think.
Let me try on the lap. Maybe that'll be easier.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I wasn't even factoring that in.
I just wouldn't want to upset all our viewers. Gotta be mindful of that production quality, Good way to get a headache if you're... Brightness is off. What's this?
I'll let you read that while I work on this, if that's good.
Thank you for the message in chat. We'll read that later when we're not actually on an active stream. And potentially get back to you.
Sorry, I
like the art on my deck. That's a big part of what jumped out to me when I first noticed it at the shop. There was two other decks on the same shelf that I actually noticed first and thought, man, those are really cool. They were colorful. They had like really cool colors, I thought, and I actually liked the design on those decks. I think a little more than I liked the design on this deck, but this deck, when I first saw it, it was like, I don't know, I felt compelled to pick it up, and I didn't feel compelled to pick up any of the other decks, and then like once I felt it in my hand, I felt like it was mine. So that's kind of how I ended up with it.
All right. So the card I pulled today is the Chariot. Let me hold this up and share a bit. How is that?
Yeah, I think that works.
All right, so would you like to hold that?
Yeah.
So I can like give some info on it. Let's see. The Chariot. A major. How do you say it? Arcana?
Arcana, I believe. It's the major and minor arcanas.
So this is a major arcana card.
Okay.
I do know that much. I know which is which. All right, the Chariot is a card of action, but the charioteer has perfect control of all the elements and energies of the universe.
Oh.
The mightiest hero and charioteer of the Celtic race. I don't know how to say this word.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Cuchulainn? I don't know.
I probably did.
Cuchulainn?
Yeah. But was born with a druid's prophecy. The prophecy contained the message of the card and went thus. His praise will be in the mouths of all men, charioteers and warriors, kings and sages will recount his deeds. He will win the love of many. This child will avenge all your wrongs. He will give combat at your fords. He will decide your quarrels. He was a great warrior, but he always showed mercy and great gallantry in a Celtic manner. He had defeated a fierce warrior princess called Aoife, and they became lovers for a brief interlude. As a parting gift, she had given him the legendary chariot and horses. No other chariot had been better crafted, and the horses had no equal in speed or carriage. The silver gray horse was called the Grey of Macha, and the powerful black steed was called Black Saganland. They are shown in the card in the true color of spirit, amethyst and silver blue. Oh, okay. They're beautiful.
They are.
So the charioteer stands impassive, holding the wand of power and a bolt of lightning to control the galloping horses. His green tunic with a blue and gold robe are symbolic colors of mercy and strength. The charioteer was strong and merciful, but he had killed his only son in battle, a cruel irony for such a valiant warrior, who did not know at the time the true identity of his young opponent.
Oh, wow. It's like the Achilles and Patroclus story, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's cute that it's cute.
There's a lot of, like, fascinating how much overlap there is in some of these folklore, myth and stuff. All that is...
That's one of the things I love about...
Makes you wonder, like, how much of its history that was, like, only recorded this way, just in stories, you know? Like, the oldest form.
Exactly. No, I think that all the time. I love these stories. Only as the youth lay dying did he reveal his name of Conla, and his mother was no other than the proud warrior princess Aoife. She had concealed the name of his father to protect him from her people, who still hated him.
Oh, jeez.
Conla was the name that... this warrior had asked the princess to call their child, should it be a boy. Oh my god, so he literally found out it was his son. Not just that he killed his son, but like that he had a son.
Oh gosh.
Right?
Yeah,
like in that
worse.
moment.
That's worse.
Yikes. Woo. Well, this is what I needed today, apparently. This tragic twist of fate is another significant factor of the card. So the astrological sign associated with it is Cancer. In the Druid zodiac, Cancer is represented by the holly tree, symbolic of spiritual development, but the moon rules Cancer and holds the key to past deeds and the inherited traits of character. So this card deals with situations which tend to recur. A residue of the past confronts me in an effort to shake off the shadows which still exist. So this warrior had met his past without knowing it until too late. So swift action is often necessary when this card is drawn. But the lesson is that a reminder to know thine enemy and to recognize past errors of judgment and not make the same mistakes again. So the querent, me, should be in full control of the situation. It shows a victory of a kind, but not without some thorough soul searching. Health and vitality will also improve once I identify the root cause. Family matters are important issues, and progress can be made to settle any disputes or divisions. Compromise is the key to regaining the initiative. It is a forceful card designed to provoke action in order to contain it. This might sound contradictory, but stagnant energies create their own chaos when swift action is required to stop the rot. Better step up.
Do you feel that's relevant to you in your personal life?
I do, definitely. I feel like it can be applied in multiple areas of where I've maybe like refrained from making a decision, or I'm like, let me just ease with this, even though I know I don't like this. But it's more mild temperament, or just maybe less confrontational, less disruptive. And I don't always like to be confrontational, I guess, you know?
Right. Particularly for your own sake, right?
Yes,
That's
for
the
other
last
things.
thing, and I'm the same way, I think, that you'll stand up for and speak up about is, I deserve better treatment than this. Is not something I can tolerate or will put up with.
Yeah. That's usually like the last thing that I do, right? It's like after I've been exhausted and worn down, then I think of myself. But usually I feel like I put up a fight for, you know, maybe like social inequities or things that I think are unfair and hurting others versus myself, I guess.
No, I understand. I understand that very well.
But that story, man,
I know, that was
intense. I want to look up the name. I'd love to learn more about that. I think that's so cool.
No, that's one of the reasons I really like doing this with you too. Is we get two cards. We get exposed to more than just one thing. I have stronger emotions to just about everything that I do with you because of how much I love you and how close I feel to you. So like it also helps me to just remember, because I'm like, no, I did that with Anne Marie. I was reading the cards and she said that her chariot was meaning I'm just more likely to remember.
Well, and that's a literal, scientifically proven educational tactic to tie your emotions into your learning, because it is a sure way to solidify that memory and thereby solidifying the learning.
Right, I always sort of thought of it as like the right kind of emotion is like really fertile ground for like dropping an anchor to stop a boat. Like it doesn't work as well as I understand it, and the ones that do is like when you're emotional, it's like that's when it'll take. It's when it'll grab a hold. It's much easier, at least, for it to grab hold then. Okay, let's see. Card from our Bianco Nero deck. We have the Four of Wands.
You gonna hold it?
The Four of Wands reversed or inverted or upside down, if you don't mind.
Do you want me to hold it this way or correct it?
You can hold it right side up if you want. It's the Four of Wands, right?
Ooh, it's a cute couple on there. Obviously, it's us.
So the Four of Wands reversed. This deck says it means upheaval, blocks, or disruption. Beneath a canopy of flowers, a happy couple pledges their lives to one another. The canopy is supported by 4 stable wands, which represent fulfilling, satisfying times. Gifts, happiness, and satisfaction are the meaning of the bouquets. The castle in the background represents abundance and goals. The way that I usually interpret this deck, or the way I have been, I guess, over the just few days I've owned it now, is when I get a reversal card, it tells you, like, in very plain words what it means: upheaval, blocks, disruption, and then I expand on that with the story that it gives and what it means upright, to try to give myself a little bit more context and, like, maybe a better grasp on what it's meaning.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the art on this deck. It is very pretty. It's all woodcut illustration. So the images were carved out of a block of wood and then dipped in ink and stamped. That's how the images were made. It's
amazing.
So impressive, right?
That whole deck is beautiful.
Yes, I really like it gave a nice description of the back of the cards and what they meant, and the 4 corners represent the 4 elements, and the 7-pointed star or 8-pointed star is it in the middle, and I mean there's a lot of thought and intention, I think, that went into the creation of this deck, and that's partially why I think it spoke to me so deeply, because I try to be mindful and do things with intent, positive usually, hopefully.
Yeah, I think those were definitely crafted with intent and in a very simple style. I feel like that's very much you. It's like very black and white classic, like minimal minimal distractions, but a high level of intensity
and detail.
Yeah, and it's like 1,000% you. Sums you up. I liked that the card that you picked. So it said upheaval, but there was like disruption, blocking, but then behind them was the castle of like fortune, like abundance kind of thing.
I think that's what it said. It signified.
Okay, so it's kind of like this couple is within reach of this castle, right? Like it's so close, you can see almost all of it. It's right there.
Yeah, it looked like they were getting married underneath that canopy, right? Is how I saw it.
Oh, okay.
I think is maybe even what they mentioned in the book here. 4 of Wands. Beneath a canopy of flowers, a happy couple pledges their lives to one another. So yeah, it's a marriage ceremony that's happening. And
so it's a union.
The 4 stable wands, which are the 4 posts of the canopy that the couple is standing underneath, symbolize fulfilling, satisfying times. Gifts, happiness, and satisfaction are the meaning of the bouquets that are, I think, strung from the canopy. And the castle in the background represents abundance and goals.
Abundance and goals. So it's within reach, and they're surrounded by like strength, essentially, with those wands. And I take like the couple as being a balance, like it's a union, and I would say like a balance of energies. Like often in tarot you have, and with anything,
positive, negative charge.
Yeah, and often it's given titles of feminine, masculine, regardless of genitalia. It's specifically about
even
those.
In electrical.
Yeah, exactly. You have it with like what, piping and stuff. Like it's not dependent upon that.
Yeah, pipes, electrical.
So, yeah, I see it as that, as like a balance of energies, and maybe because it was upside down, it's showing like an unbalance of energies that are leading you away from your goals and abundance.
Right.
Even though you're surrounded by strength and fortitude that's holding you up, with those wands being at their 4 positions.
Right. I sort of see it more as opposed to being going in the wrong direction or anything that serious, as more of a, you're with who you're supposed to be with. You're on the path you're supposed to be on. If it's difficult right now, don't beat yourself up about it too much, because that is just what is happening, and there isn't, you know what I mean? Like, we're not telling you it's your fault or you got to do something about it, or there's, you know what I mean? Just that there's currently a blocking or a disruption or a frustration or a slowdown or a, you know what I mean? That sort of is
something tricky in a way.
That vibe,
so
I think, that I was getting. Thank you from that one.
Well, it also makes sense if my card is the Chariot and it's something of like swift action that needs to occur but isn't going to come without a cost necessarily. Like, it makes sense that, yeah, like that cost could potentially be like our upheaval, you know? Like,
right. Some of this dissatisfaction or frustration.
Is there any way to like stop that alert? Oh, maybe not. Sorry. Don't worry about it. We're just getting reminders to do the Twitch, so we're doing it.
Yeah, probably don't need that.
Yeah, I think
currently.
we're good. I think we're good.
Apologies.
Huh. It's interesting. I mean, it's a new moon tonight, so I love that, like, we're trying to get back into this in a way that would be productive.
Yeah, no, it's a good time for it, right?
I love that you picked this deck, so to speak. Like, I have always been a little, I guess, slightly wishy-washy on my stances with tarot. Like, I've always felt very satisfied and happy and content and at peace when I did them with myself, or if one of my good friends and I did them together at different times in our life. Sometimes really joyous times, like not even problematic times, but like, like in an excited, happy way, like, can I pull one for you?
Right.
So they're very much surrounded with this just like lovely, pensive atmosphere, and it was really nice that you were able to pick one out. Like, that made me very happy that you felt comfortable to be like, yes, I want to try this, and that you found like this deck was perfect for you. And you know, I'd love to like learn and share that with you.
Yeah, I am comfortable like following my feelings when it comes to this sort of stuff, right? If like I've said, I'm agnostic. If there's a God, if all those ifs, right? But one of the major things that I have to gauge myself, right, and my feelings. And so if I can't trust my feelings when it comes to things that maybe are not understood or cannot be understood as we humans like to think we understand things, then all we have maybe is our feelings. So when it comes to this stuff, very, very recently I've been trying to lean more heavily into that and have more confidence in myself and in my faith, because that's kind of how I see it, even though that's not how people typically use the word. That's sort of how I see it. And so when I felt the need to pick it up and then felt like they were mine, I thought, no, I should not fight that feeling, even though I also am not 100% like, I was raised in a Catholic church. I went to school for 12 years there. I mean, there's absolutely a part of me that had, and I did have thoughts like, is this a mistake? Am I getting tricked into doing something not good? Like, and that's ridiculous.
By me.
Not
By
you.
me.
No, not that.
Devil on your shoulder.
Yeah, that just the negative forces or whatever. Even if you want to see, like, but I don't believe that I could be made an unwitting accomplice to truly evil things without at least having the opportunity to back away from it and say, like, oh, that's what this is? No thanks. That's exactly what I would do. So why hold myself from potential good stuff that could potentially be shared, right? It could be good stuff for more than just me. It could be good stuff for people in my life, the world in general. Who knows?
Yeah.
Try to follow my feelings.
I always find it so fascinating that we both were raised Roman Catholic and went to Catholic school, but your takeaways were very different. And I think it's such a cultural interpretation of Catholicism. Because my family, like tarot cards, witchcraft, all those sorts of like spiritual oddities, they weren't as common as Catholic routines or traditions,
Right.
but they occurred at times simultaneously.
Right,
and they were never
like
something.
evil
They were,
or...
yeah, it was never evil. That was always considered like just a foolish thought. So I never had those feelings necessarily, though I've had those feelings when I'm like, I don't know. Well, like when we, like the last time that we went to church and had decided like, okay, this is not our faith and we're not getting communion.
Anymore. We're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, like where I was like, I'm not getting communion, and that was like a big deal where I'm like, I'm going to burn in hell.
I stopped doing that a long time ago.
That was definitely that was when it occurred, but it did not occur for me with the tarot. Like that's never happened, which is nice, I think. Are you checking out?
I was trying to see if there was a way to view, if there are any viewers. Any viewers out there watching currently, drop us something in the chat. And feel free to ask us to pull you a card, or we could do a spread even. My wife obviously would be doing that. She's more experienced, but I think either one of us would be comfortable sharing the conversation. Or
what does that mean?
It's just that.
Gotcha.
Not a big deal.
Sorry, I thought you needed to like re-click something.
I don't believe so. I don't think there's anybody currently viewing. It looks like there were people at different points, possibly.
That's okay.
But I don't have. I try not to have too much pollute my thoughts when it comes to things of like faith or spirituality, which is very difficult because like that's effectively all a person is like the pollution they've picked up from the world. And so some of it's truth, and like that's not really pollution, but ultimately it's like kind of is still. It's just, I don't know, stuff that's been floating around. It's weird. I'm weirdo, I guess. Is what I'm saying.
Speaking of pollution though, you had shared in terms of like picking up energy pollution, not like actual pollution. You had shared your like shield that you put up, so to speak, or your wall, I guess was more accurately how you described it, that you did to block out or like get rid of energies that were just not going to push you forward. Can you tell me more about how you actually like get in that zone, and like when do you do it? Like when are you doing that? Like when you're brushing your teeth? Do you take quiet time?
No, it's when I think there's something negative around me that I'm trying to prevent myself from engaging with or absorbing more of than I would want to, right? So like if I think someone is having a bad day and so they're being meaner to me than they would normally, you know, like, or if like sometimes it's like that, but that's like a really mild example. I really wouldn't use it for that. It's pretty rare that I put them up, and it's mainly when it's a more serious like if somebody's really drunk and they come at you like aggressively, even just with words. It's like that's exactly the type of situation where it's like I'm not even gonna entertain this stuff because like I there's no way for me to sift through what is maybe a potentially thing, like, so like
right.
Just block it all off. And so I imagine a brick wall, like a literal brick wall in my mind, and for some reason like on the other side of that brick wall is an ocean. So like it's not just a wall, it's like there's literally like an ocean between me and whatever it is, and a wall. It's just, I don't know why the ocean thing has always sort of been there, but it's like
I mean,
That, and maybe it's like an auditory thing for me, because like I do sort of then like I can hear it, and that's all I can do, because obviously all I can see is the brick wall, but I can hear the ocean, and like I know it's right on the other side of that wall, and that's it. It's me and the wall and the ocean.
and that's relaxing.
It is.
I
think it can be relaxing, but it's very isolating, and I don't need more of that typically than I get for myself.
So then you don't do anything, or do you do anything on a regular day-to-day to protect yourself, so to speak, from energies that maybe you don't need, regardless of if they're bad, what is bad.
Right. No,
but-
I understand. No, I don't think so. I don't think there's any kind of regular practice or routine that I have that I could say like is for that purpose. No. I try to take each interaction on a, individual basis, so that everything is getting its own fair judgment, and my, you know what I mean? My attention is being properly allocated in a fair way, that I'm not dismissing things. You know, and I try not to be dismissive. I would like to think I'm not dismissive, so I try to do that. How about you? Is there something you do on a regular basis that you think?
Not on a regular basis, but I feel that I should, because I do feel like I pick up on so many people's like vibes, their energies, and it does affect me. And then it's like I can't shake the feeling, like it's like this lingering like ugh sometimes, or like I wasn't even upset at that situation, but like now I feel like I'm more upset, and it happens like so often that
I think meditation is big, right? On like that, just generally meditating, I feel.
Yeah, no, that definitely is, but I think that there's more. Like, I have heard of people regularly creating a visual manifestation of like light or barriers before they step out into the world, so that anything that isn't meant to penetrate won't, is essentially what it is. So you're not saying I'm not going to take part in
Anything.
the conversation, but that we can have this conversation, but your
Negativity
emotions
is
on
not
it
gonna touch me.
are not going to consume me. I'm not going to let them infiltrate, or if maybe they're meant to, and so then they will, like trusting that, like that you have created this shield that is permissible as needed.
Right. Okay. I see. That makes sense.
I mean, different people use it for different things, I think. Sometimes people are like, I'm in my positive, happy space, so nothing bad. But I feel that sometimes we need to experience a multitude of these so-called bad emotions, and I wouldn't want to block them all. I wouldn't want to say, like, don't give me any sadness or anger today.
Right.
Like no, that might be necessary, but the
For my own
intensity,
good, right.
yeah.
For my own happiness, even.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's that thing of like,
Careful what you wish for.
yeah, and
Sorta.
like, do we need pain to
Yeah.
then know
Right.
pleasure?
Sweet
Like
ain't
that.
so sweet without the sour.
Yeah, so
Takes a bar.
what is that?
Vanilla Sky.
Oh, did I see that?
Yeah, I showed it to you once.
Okay,
It's a weird one.
don't remember it though. Definitely, I'm not quoting it.
It's worth a watch if you haven't seen it. I'd say worth, spend the 2 hours, whatever it is.
I feel like it would benefit me to put up a shield every day, but I wasn't sure what yours was when you had described it originally to me. I thought maybe you were doing that every day, and I also didn't know that there was an ocean attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and
pretty cool.
The ocean's almost more important. Like the wall's there as like a, I don't know, a symbol. It's like very symbolic, I guess, because like
What kind of wall is it?
just a brick wall, just red brick. Just a red brick wall. It's a plain, boring ass fucking red brick wall. It's very just like wall.
Is it a beautiful ocean or like
I
Jersey
don't know.
Shore?
I don't see it. I just hear it. It's just all I hear is
Oh
the
my
ocean.
God. It's like It's Wildwood.
It's just overall
Trash.
just the sound of ocean, like as far as you could see, if you could see it, but you can't, so it's as far as you can hear.
People are gonna think I hate the Jersey Shore, even though
You love it.
I love it. But
No, I would put it up if I felt like someone was like talking about me in front of me, like the kind of thing where I thought like, oh, you're trying to be slick or whatever, or even trying to be hurtful maybe.
you're an asshole.
Like I would put up a wall in that situation, likely, where I would. And it's weird because like it's sort of only for like my emotions or the emotional part of my brain. Like obviously I'm still taking part in the conversation, like unless I excuse myself or something, I'm not just like putting up these walls and then shutting down in mid conversation with people. Like that would be, I'm weird.
Like you're
I'm not that
like
weird.
a robot. Like
Yeah, I'm not that
I
weird.
check out now.
But I like, obviously logic is I'm still participating. I'm just saying like the part of me that is feeling stuff isn't touching this stuff. I'm doing other stuff with it. That's fine. I can think about it and form sentences and opinions, but I'm not gonna let it touch my like me, like it's that's different. That's my brain. He's a computer doing stuff. That's not me. I'm not letting that stuff touch me. It's just my brain.
I have done things, obviously, like heading to work or like any other toxic environment, creating like a visual shield, I guess. Also like cleansing at the same time. So like as I'm putting up this light, so to speak,
Right.
I'm also expelling things, and it's like anything that's negative that I maybe carried, and also like the like physical, like, oh, I feel it like in, behind my left shoulder, like even if it's just like that physical ache, it's like I don't know what that's from, but if I can expel a piece of it through this mental process, then I'm gonna do it, you know. So I try to work that as well, and I do try to keep it up, but it's certainly a challenge. I feel like I can get like midway through the day, and then ideally I would have the opportunity to sit and create that channel again and continue on. Even just the act of doing it. Like, let's just say that this is all just complete bullshit. The act of me saying, I am going to only allow into my space what suits me, allows me to then step into interactions with others and notice their feelings and not become attached to them. And then notice my own feelings and be like, okay, but
maybe
I'm feeling
more
this.
authentically, right?
Yes. And then to interact with that
It's
person
funny,
in a
right?
good way.
Sort of curious how like a distance or a detachment from something can sometimes bring you closer to it via that like more clear understanding, you know? That's just life's so interesting.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's like, I always feel that it's very similar to like chaos or emergency states. Like I tend to be very calm and like productive, right? Like efficient, productive in emergency state. So if someone's coming to me in a panic and there's an actual emergency, I'm like, okay, we're doing this, like, and if I'm not delegating, I am being a part of the solution in a very like concise, clear way, and not adding more energy to it. Like I just suddenly become very cool and calm, and am able to like almost disassociate. But at times that type of feeling and process would be really nice for me to do during other like conversations with people when their emotions aren't emergency emotions, but they're just like very obvious. Yeah, like they're emotions that I'm like, I don't want this. Like, you know, like, do you ever feel that where you're just like, ugh, like,
Oh yeah.
I don't mind talking to you. I don't even mind listening to what you have to say, but everything about the way you are sharing this with me is much more than the words. And it's like, get out.
Yeah. I mean, that and so many other things. It's a difficult endeavor trying to, like, master your emotions, right? It's like part of it is regulating them, like recognizing when something is happening and then taking the active steps that you can take to, like, try to help ease some of that increased heart rate, like shortness of breath, sort of anxious discomfort, kind of, but then also the mental part of trying to not, like, hype yourself up or psych yourself into it, right? Because that's easy to do when you start to get angry. You start seeing things that you're like, well, that was on purpose, and I know why they did that, and it's like, oh, that's not really useful or helpful, and, like, all of that stuff is difficult to, like, recognize that you're doing, right? And then be honest enough with yourself to say, like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I want to do that, though. Like, or I was going to do that. Like, or I thought of that first. None of those are fun thoughts to be honest with yourself about, but you must to not do that, right? Like, otherwise, how are you getting to the next step of, like, and so I'm gonna just see that thing for the awfulness it is and not engage with it any further and do this thing that's not perfect but slightly better than that awful shit I just let go past me.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but
No,
it
not.
It can be done. And it's it's not even totally wholly on the person, I don't think, right? It's like anything else. It's difficult to do and maybe downright near impossible in other situations where it's like a bigger thing or whatever, where it's like, oh man, I'd like to think I'm pretty good about that, but you said what? Like, just certain lines, or I don't know. All of that stuff is hard. It makes life so complicated, and is, I think, something most average people don't really spend any significant time on for themselves. And I think that's a shame, both for them and for everyone else, like everybody around them, and just the world in general, because the world would be better if we had more freedom to think of ourselves in constructively critiqued our own thoughts and behaviors, right? Like, everybody should be doing that. We should be policing ourselves in a way to be as good as we can for ourselves and the people around us. And, like, not only does our world not encourage that, it barely provides time for you to care for small children when you have them. So, like, there's zero time for you to be like, oh, what I should really be doing is thinking more about this person and how I can be better than them the next time I encounter them in this awkward social situation. Like, nobody's doing that, because what?
Well, and people, I think the idea of, like, F them, I'm done with them, over it, moving on, like, I think often people misconstrue that as being empowering and showing strength.
Yeah.
And often it's kind of a cop-out, and it's the way our society has pushed us to be, because there is no time or no means or resources or mental strength to even be able to sit down and say, to begin conflict resolution. Where is this really happening? And so we go to these other things, and then because there's cognitive dissonance with it, we need to justify that and say, well, I'm being strong because I said F this person. Yeah. And it's not that you need to keep everyone in your life, but you could also be honest about why people are not in your life, and you could, be confrontational or be clear about what is upsetting, and how they choose to respond to that is on their own. You still don't need to engage with them more, unless it's like work or something that might be a little bit trickier. Less voluntary. Yeah, sometimes you kind of have to just, like, keep things going for the peace. But if everybody was in the state of mind to be giving real meaning to what they said or thought or felt regularly, then we wouldn't ever run into those instances where someone's, they're saying this or they're talking about you in front of you. Like, come on, man.
It's just
Talk to me. I'm right here.
Yeah.
Like, call it what it is,
It's
like
it's like lifestyles or personalities that have sort of been built around some of these problematic ideas, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're getting at. No, I know what you mean. I believe I've seen that too. It's a shame. It's it's a difficult thing to deal with because people, like we were just saying, like the self-reflection and introspective efforts to improve are like non-existent almost, like there's, I guess, people, and the idea of therapy has gotten more widespread, right, and more accepted, but that doesn't always look like what we're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like so often it is sort of sometimes selfish behavior that's encouraged, and sometimes that's necessary for your health to get to a good spot, but it's I don't know, it's a weird topic, to consider, like someone being in therapy but not being that like introspective. And I guess it's not that they aren't, but the honesty that we were talking about, like the most difficult part of it is honestly evaluating yourself. And you have a third person, that second person, the therapist, to help maybe call you out when it seems like you're not given the straightest version of the thing or whatever, but like really only and the problem with that too is so many things in life need to be done or decided in a moment. You need to be honest enough with yourself to know and be honest with yourself in those moments so that you can more accurately and honestly make a judgment call that you may need to make.
Mm-hmm.
And you won't have your therapist there to be like, oh, really? Is that really how you feel though? So it's weird.
Well, also just because someone's going to therapy doesn't mean they're actually doing the work beyond that. Like, therapy is just one part. And
if you're not being honest, then I don't know that you're doing any work at all, right?
Exactly.
You can go to therapy and waste your money and your time and your therapist's time by
check that box,
lying and or even just misrepresenting enough things that it's like, well, okay, so you are doing some stuff, but like, well, I don't even know why, because it's so complicated now. There's not enough honesty here. And I've done that. I know that because I've done it.
Well, I think there's also this weird shift that is, instead of pushing to be perfect, which I feel is maybe kind of how we grew up, like pushing to be perfect, almost like hiding your problems and then learning that was wrong, and so now you're like doing the work for it in other ways. There's like different generations that grew up with technology and therapy like so accessible, so readily available, so they're like, yes, look at me, I have problems, I go to therapy for this, I take medicine for this, but there's still no introspection. And that, I think, is a key component that is lacking. So we're celebrating your imperfections, cool, but also I don't care. I care about the effort you're taking to not be perfect, but just be a better human, improve in some aspect of your life.
Well, and for your own sake, more than anything, right? Those are. It's very complicated and deep, but it goes so much further than the one person.
Oh yes.
It's just the way humans are, I guess, or the way things are set up or structured. I don't know. Maybe it's all those things, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an influence of many things, for sure.
I think we're going to try to do this like 2-3 times a week at least, right?
Yeah. Well, you told me 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me for 1 hour that was what you
40,
looked into.
40 minutes to an hour. Right?
Okay. So, we're capped. I've been yawning since 20 minutes in.
It's a long day for me, too. Lots of painting today for me.
But thanks for chatting with us, and
you're coming back tomorrow, probably. Same time, 5 o'clock. Right, tomorrow?
Same time, same place, different tarot.
Yeah.
Yep. Ciao.
Sounds all right. Good night.